session and started the handicap preschool, which has become Thompson School. Ted and June Cummings have come clear from Central Washington to be with us. We're so glad you're here. Wave at us. Welcome. For the life of the church, you see the items in the church calendar. Let us respond to God. I want this down here. This little puppy dog is the first puppet that ever came to visit St. Andrews 19 years ago. He was sitting on the shelf, just all by himself lonely for the handicapped preschool, waiting for Monday mornings for the children to come play. And when I was going to come out and tell a story to the kids, he decided to come along with me. What's your name? Droopy. Oh, it's Droopy the dog. All right. Now here is the puppet who is the most recent one who's come to join a family of 47 puppets who are part of the St. Andrews family. And what's your name?
You want to know?
I don't. Now what are we here for today? Well, I thought there was a big birthday party.
No, dummy. We're celebrating an anniversary, not a birthday party.
Oh, not a birthday party. Well, if I see a cake, can you bring the cake on us? We want to sing happy anniversary.
Okay, everybody.
Here we go, ready? Happy
Anniversary to you. Happy anniversary to us. Happy anniversary, St. Andrew. Happy anniversary to us.
And many more.
Well, now, would you blow out the candles there, Pearl?
Okay, ready? Come on. Whoa, I can't blow out. I can blow out. You blow out. Come on. All right.
Bye-bye, boys. Now, for their classes, it's really a joy and a pleasure to introduce to you this part of our worship, to read our scripture, and then we'll sing our hymn. Pleasure then to introduce the Reverend Dr. Frank Starkey, who will now read our scripture.
I'm reading this morning from J.B. Phillips. There didn't used to be as many translations as there are today. Some of you will remember when everyone in the congregation would want a J.B. Phillips New Testament translation. Everyone in the congregation, while we were still worshiping over in Hillcrest Elementary School. And in those days, we attempted almost anything. Jim, I decided to preach through the New Testament. Instead of picking a text, we took a book every Sunday. It was an experience. This morning, I limited to 8 verses. Reading from 1 Corinthians chapter 13. If I speak with the eloquence of men and of angels, but have no love, I become no more than blaring brass or crashing cymbal. If I have the gift of foretelling the future and hold in my mind not only all human knowledge, but the very secrets of God, and if I have all absolute faith, which can move mountains, but have no love, I amount to nothing at all. If I dispose of all that I possess, yes, even if I give my own body to be burned, but have not love, I achieve precisely love of which I speak is slow to lose patience. It looks for a way of being constructive. It is not possessive. It is neither anxious to impress, nor does it cherish inflated ideas of its own importance. Love has good manners and does not pursue selfish advantage. It is not touchy. It does not keep account of evil or gloat over the wickedness of other people. On the contrary, it is glad with all good men when truth prevails. Love knows no limit to its endurance, no end to its trust, no fading of its hope. It can outlast anything. In fact, it is the one thing that still stands when all else has fallen. May God bless you. Well, it doesn't seem as strange as I thought it might. Almost seems like being home again, to be with you. When I received the invitation to come and speak this morning, evidently I misused my throat before I got here this morning. Also, we'll make it through. When I was invited to speak, the suggestion was made that I might want to do just a little reminiscing, tell some anecdotes, and then give a challenge for the future. Is there anything else you'd like? Well, this last week at least did a little reminiscing. And reminiscing can be fun, as we all experienced last night. It can be a lot of fun to reminisce. And there's also a very worthwhile side to the reminiscing as we remember it. It's included in our liturgy this morning. I hope you picked up on that. But the writer of the second verse of the 8th chapter of Deuteronomy said, "You must remember all the experiences through which the Lord your God has led you." You must remember all the experiences through which the Lord your God has led you. And I might also add, and don't forget those experiences through which it probably seems like we just bungled through. Because after all, when we look back, so many times we realize that even those experiences which perhaps we thought we were going almost on our own, somehow God has even used those to bring us to the place where we are today. Well, last week as I started reminiscing about our particular unique experiences at the very beginning of our efforts here in connection with St. Andrew, my mind just kept going back to all the things we did and all the things we shared and all the fun we had. And so many times, just because we didn't know any better, we were as crazy, as I look back, we were as crazy the outcome of our efforts would be. At the time, I was still serving as a minister at the University Church of Seattle, whose membership at that time had just passed 4,000. But it was there that I heard about this place called Renton, at the south end of Lake Washington. And you know, it just seemed like starting churches was the way to go in those days. A seed was dropped in Bellevue, it flourished. Another seed was dropped here, and it flourished. And so there was a question about Renton. What were the prospects in Renton? And so I was asked to explore that possibility. The Board of National Missions put out a very nice little folder that gave all the suggestions, told exactly how an organizing pastor was to organize a church. It was like a cookbook. You want a casserole, then you just put in these ingredients, and you stir it, and it comes up, and there you have it. Well, one of the first suggestions was, rather than wasting time, to jump right in. Before anyone went to the field, you should advertise in the local paper. Advertise in the paper and give your name, your phone number, how you can be contacted, and invite persons who are interested in a new church to give a call. And that way you can explain about the new church, find out all those who are interested, and especially answer the questions of those who might be inquiring. Then you can have a good list started to work with. And so I ran the ad. My water here, pardon me. I don't do this normally. I really don't. So I ran the ad for 3 weeks. Particularly interested, wanted to get all the calls, so I made sure that no one left the phone. It wasn't difficult to count up when it was over because the phone didn't even rattle. It stopped ringing. And so the Presbytery of Seattle wanted to know if I thought we should go ahead with a church in Renton. And I said, oh, yes. Because I didn't know any better. My 2 cousins, Larry and Sharon Griffith, were now planning to move to Renton, and of course they thought that a new church would be a great idea because they didn't know any better. Utilizing the services of some 50 persons from the University Presbyterian Church, we started knocking on doors, and we did a census. We canvassed the entire area. Again, with those little slips of paper to find out what the religious preferences were, those who were in church, those who did not attend, those who might be interested. The results were not that exciting. See, Andrew, we found you in that census, did we not? It was worth the 2,000 or 3,000 in order to find the Andrew. But we did know one thing for sure now. There really wasn't much interest in a new church in Renton. Interest was minimal. But my cousin Larry loved sports. And this interest quickly spread. And before long we had what perhaps we only thought, was the hottest softball team in town. most dignified men of high finance and organizational know-how. They didn't even say a word to me. I could just feel it in the air. I never felt more uncomfortable in my life because without a word, the message was, "We're not interested in softball." We sent you to Renton to organize a new church. Don't you know any better? But now, the numbers were beginning to grow of others like myself didn't know any better. And so, as the summer came to its conclusion and we thought of the fall, we formed quite an interesting group together, with the wives and children rooting from the grandstands, and those of us who thought we were ball players out there doing the best we could. And we picnicked and we went home and we enjoyed together. Grady, when did you come to be with us? Was it soon after this?
The first time.
Grady was with us for the first Sunday. And I'm going to have to retract one of the things I was going to say, because Grayley came to work with our young people and he had some experience which invalidates what I'm going to say next. But at any rate, we rented the Hillcrest Elementary School, and then we advertised the date of our first service, and of course we went ahead and also indicated that we were going to have a church school starting at the same time. And we did this, with the exception of Grayley, realizing that we did not have any teachers who had ever taught before. But it didn't make any difference. Because we didn't know any better. And no one was around to tell us so. I think even Grayley was enjoying that. Weren't you, Grayley? It was fun not to have anyone breathing down our necks. But it wasn't all fun and play, because in the month that followed, there was work to be done, there were sacrifices to be made, there was the necessity of purchasing property and building both our worship center and also a home for the pastor. But the emphasis was never on physical building. As the fellowship of St. Andrew grew, it was like no other group of people I had never known, because they didn't know how to act pious and religious. And they never learned it from me. And so we just went on being